Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. This is our take. We are your hosts. I'm Ocean.
I'm Taylor.
And ladies and gentlemen, today we guys are going to give you guys our take on Disney Pixar's newest production that just came out on July 16th, I think it was.
June 16th.
June. Yeah, this is not July, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry.
We're not in the future.
June 16th. It's titled Elemental. We did a trailer reaction to this a little while ago, and we try to watch all kinds of movies, not just ones that we're like inherently interested in, like more movies and actions and comics and stuff like that. But we like to watch our animated movie here and there. That way, we can give you guys our perspective on that stuff as well. We are coming to you guys a little bit different than usual. Unfortunately, we couldn't film in person today. Just schedule conflicts couldn't make it happen. But that doesn't mean we're not going to give you guys the content you deserve. So
Yeah.
we're gonna give you guys our take in traditional fashion, starting with some spoiler free content, get into some scores, and then we'll get into spoilers. So without further ado, Taylor, let us know who is the cast for Disney Pixar's Elemental.
So I'll try to give you like the main characters, of
Mm-hmm.
course. Starting with the main star, which will be Ember Lumen, character played by Leia Lewis, and then co-star with Wade, played by Mamoudou Athie, I think. We also have Cinder Lumen, played by Sheila Vosso, something like that. Bernie Lumen, played by Ronnie Del Carmen.
Mm.
And then we got Brooke Ripple, played by Catherine O'Hara, and Alan Ripple by Matthew Yang King. Two other characters that were, I would say, like pretty important. Gail Cumulus, played by
Yeah.
Wendy McGlendon, and Fern by Joe Pera.
Okay. Yeah, this is an interesting cast list because I don't know, like I don't really know too many of these people by name per se, but I'm looking at their faces and
Yeah,
recognize
you
them. So
probably
it's cool.
recognize them.
Yeah, it's cool to see them as voice actors and speaking on that, I think that the voice acting was pretty well done in this movie. Um
Yeah.
and whenever animated movies have good voice acting, it makes it so much easier to be immersed within the story and to actually enjoy the story. That being said, I don't know that I really like this movie. I enjoyed it. I don't regret going to watch it. There are some issues that I have with it, but um, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like it's just a mediocre, average Disney Pixar film for me. It wasn't anything like super special, in my opinion. But that's my spoiler free thoughts on it. Taylor, what did you think of the movie?
I thought this was a pretty good movie overall. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Didn't really have like a whole lot of expectations from it. It
Right.
doesn't stand out as anything crazy, but it's a very good movie to watch.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's dive into some scores. So, uh, scale from 1 to 10, Taylor. What is your score for Elemental?
Elemental, I would probably give a 7.
7. Okay. All right. Trying to think if like would I watch this movie again? Like trying to think of other movies that I've given like sixes and sevens and fives to. Decide if I like it better than that. Oh, I don't know. I think I'm gonna give this movie I'm gonna give this movie a 6. I think it was slightly better than average, just slightly. There definitely were some things that really brought it down for me personally, but I think if like a year down the road, I'm scrolling through Disney Plus and I happen to come across this, and there's nothing else that I'm like trying to watch, I might turn it on. I might. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a maybe. Do you think people need to go see this movie in the theaters?
I mean, I think if you're a big just Disney fan in general, yeah, in that sense. But other than that, like, it's not really. big deal if you do or not. I'm sure it'll be on Disney Plus very shortly
pretty quickly. Yeah,
because that's what they've been doing recently. So
yeah, yeah. I don't think it's necessary to see it in the theater. As always, movies are always better in the theater than they are not in the theater. So that that's that. But like, if you end up waiting till it comes to Disney Plus, I don't think you're missing out on anything. So,
yeah, because I watched this in 3D.
oh, did you?
Um,
Did the 3D
because
make a difference?
the well, when we saw the preview in 40x, it looked really fun. But watching it in 3D, it was kind of pointless. I feel
Mm,
like it
interesting.
wasn't bad or anything. It just didn't seem like it was necessary to be in 3D as
It's
compared
kind
to
of like,
when we saw the preview. It looked like it was going to be really good in 3D,
yeah.
but the
So it's
actual
kind of like
movie,
underwhelming, basically.
just for 3D specifically, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some spoilers. Let's talk about the specifics. That way, you guys have a better idea of why we feel the way we feel. So, without further ado, this is going to serve as your official.
Spoiler alert.
Alrighty. Yeah. So, kind of walk me through the whole 3D thing. There wasn't really that many actual like 3D portions of the movie or something.
Yeah, I mean, like throughout the movie, like I hardly noticed the 3D at all. Like
Oh, okay.
it just seems like there's moments where I do notice it and it's cool, but then majority of it just felt like I was just watching a regular showing. So it's like, oh, I should have
Yeah.
just watched the regular showing.
What kind of or when were some parts that were 3D?
I mean, I don't remember specifics, but there's just times when there's like a lot of things popping out on screen,
Uh-huh.
and it does look really cool because you can see, especially with the new 3D, you can see like the depth of everything and how
Right.
far it is, and it's slowly like coming at you and stuff. But it's never to the point where it's like coming off the screen, because that's just not how the new 3D
Yeah.
works. But it was just, it was really nice, especially for this kind of movie where a lot of the like cityscape like shots and stuff when they're just exploring and traveling, like super cool views and stuff with the animation style and everything.
Okay.
Which is why I felt it was great for it, but it seemed like most of the time it was just pretty like flat, I guess.
Yeah. It was 2D. It was flat.
Pretty much.
Okay. I did not watch this in 3D, so I can't attest to that at all, but um I mean, I imagine there could have been some potential for some cool stuff like when they do the wave or the whole like basketball scene or the whatever it was called in the movie with the wind people.
Yeah,
What's
I
it
can't
called?
remember the name.
The team name was
I know
Windbreakers.
yeah, it was Windbreakers versus
Yeah,
like I don't
Cyclones or
know.
something like that, I think.
No, Cyclone Stadium. But
Oh,
both
okay.
names were like fart descriptions, like Windbreaker and something else. I forget.
Yeah. But I like that. I feel like that could have had some potential to have some cool 3D effects, but I don't know about the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like because, especially with all the water and stuff, like or bubbles and
Right.
all kinds of random things could be, like popping on the screen. But
But it
it's not. I
wasn't.
mean, it's not like they're not. It's just not in the 3D sense.
So if we didn't have the Regal Pass thing that we have where we don't get to see movies for free, but after a certain amount per month, it's essentially free, right? So,
Yeah.
um, do you feel like if you had actually paid full price for that 3D ticket, that you would be disappointed with it, and that you would like want your money back, or what do you think?
I mean, I would be disappointed, but not, like I wasn't disappointed with like the movie itself, so it's not like that bad.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
you know,
All right. Well, let's get into
I
the
don't know how
movie. I
much
mean,
3D
this.
movies cost normally. So
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know. I haven't paid like a regular ticket price in years now, so
Yeah.
I don't remember. Um, but let's get into the movie itself and talk about the story and stuff. So, it ended up being what I didn't want really. Like I don't know if you remember, but during our trailer reaction, you posed the question of like, what do you think is going to happen? Right? Do you remember that?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't remember what
So
we talked about, but I just remember
well,
saying that.
so we were doing the trailer reaction, and you posed the question to me like, "What do you think is going to happen with this movie? Where do you see the story going?" And I had said that like I was hoping that it didn't end up being a love story. I didn't want it to be a typical forbidden love story, which it ended up being. It ended up being a
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet type of forbidden love kind of story. I will say that like I didn't have as big of an issue with it as I thought I would have. I think just the visual delivery, the fact that it was so different than anything that we've seen before, right? Um and the execution of it was slightly different and enough that it didn't bother me that much. It still did. I was still hoping for a little bit more. I was still hoping for a different message to have been um, portrayed or shared within this movie. But at the end of the day, it ended up being a forbidden love movie, and I don't know. I mean, it did all right. I think I wasn't a huge fan of Wade, if I'm being honest.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, I
Wait, it is irritating. um,
my issue with it is I don't this is like we're gonna go down an avenue that we don't go down too often, and I'm gonna try not to get too deep into it. But and I feel like this is something that I thought you were gonna pick up on, or maybe you did, and it just doesn't bother you as much. But there are some very like specific societal norms or societal ideas that were being portrayed in this movie that I just don't agree with. And
okay.
so like they're basically role reversals, right? But they were taken to an extreme. So Wade is the male within the male water guy, right? And
Yeah.
he was portrayed in a very like an extremely emotional way where he literally cried like probably 30 times in the movie, which crying is not bad, but it just made it seem like or I felt like I was watching like a demasculinate fuck, I don't know how to say that word. But a non-masculine man trying to do masculine things at the same time though. Like it was a weird balance that they were trying to show, and it kind of just rubbed me the wrong way. Like they wanted him to cry all the time and be super soft and super emotional, but then they wanted him to do heroic stuff at the same time with Ember. But then it to me it came off in a weird way.
Okay.
And then
I mean,
Ember
I noticed these things. It's just yeah, I don't really care for his character, anyways, because it's but I don't know. I don't take it that deep. I guess like his crying, his introduction to his character was so
yeah,
fucking irritating,
it
and I couldn't
was.
stand it.
That probably was where it started. Was just like the way that they introduced him. It was just
It was just
lame.
really fucking stupid.
Yeah,
And like he has like it's just like these random like moments because I feel like for the most part like he's fine. It's just he'll have these fucking little moments where he's just really extra and it's just
yeah,
annoying and it's weird because I mean I get because he's water or like it's his family thing because his whole family does it but
yeah.
like
But
it doesn't. Everybody else doing it doesn't bother me. Literally, his entire family can do it and it's fine. But he specifically does it, and it's
mhm.
irritating to me. But I don't know.
Oh, he's supposed to
No.
be our male protagonist, and he's
I mean, I don't care that he's like an idiot and like bumbling around and everything, and like he's doesn't like really know what he's doing or doesn't want to do with his life and stuff. It's just the specific like I don't know what you call like habits that he has that I just
Mhm.
don't like, but it doesn't bother me enough to just like ruin the whole movie, you know?
It culminated with um the whole ceremony scene where Ember's dad was like gonna give her the blue flame and let her take over the store, and then Wade shows up and he like I don't know, he when he was telling Amber like, "Oh, this is your chance to tell your dad all the shit that you've been telling me," and it's just like, this I don't think this is the right time to be doing that, bud. Like, in front of all these people, it's probably not a good time.
Oh,
You
at
should, yeah, at the, like,
the
the ceremony
grand
thing.
reopening, yeah.
Yeah. Like, that was kind of like the culminating event for me, for him. It was just like, okay, didn't really care for the way you introduced the character because like, literally introduced him as just a crybaby and, like, a city inspector that was kind of good at his job, but not really. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just wasn't jiving. Like, I didn't connect with the character. I didn't feel intrigued by him or anything. And then the whole movie I was waiting for that like switch, right? Like I was waiting for the switch of okay, he's this soft emotional male protagonist, and then where slowly throughout the movie he's gonna begin to change his character while Ember changes her character, and they're gonna go opposite directions and meet somewhere in the middle, right? But it didn't seem like that happened. It just seemed like Wade stayed the same the whole time, and then Ember changed throughout the movie. And then at the end, or towards the end, when that ceremony thing was happening, and he was like, he was like trying to get Ember to say everything to her dad and say how she didn't want to take over the shop and this and that, that it wasn't her dream. It just kind of struck a nerve with me because it's like, bro, you gotta have a little bit more awareness to yourself, knowing that that's just not the right time to do that kind of stuff. Like, you shouldn't be airing family laundry out in front of the entire town, essentially. You know what I mean? Just not the right time. So that just kind of irked me. And then from then on, I was just I wasn't like fully
Yeah.
taking it out, but I just was like, all right, this is a little much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was like that big of an issue that he did it at that time. Like, sure, it's probably not what they would consider ideal for them being like Ember and her father, but I mean, it kind of makes sense because it's like before everything actually starts, like you want to just talk about it, and obviously she's not exactly wanting to do it, at least without being, pushed or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, eh, I don't think it was like that bad. Um, Obviously, it's a little weird, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't really care enough like for Wade. Like I have no need to be attached to like a male character, so like
Hmm.
me not liking him doesn't matter because I liked Ember the entire time. So
Okay.
and I connected
What?
a lot more with her character versus Wade, so it doesn't matter to me
Yeah.
that Wade is like the opposite of what I would do just because he's a dude in this particular movie, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. 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 Okay. What did you like about Ember? Let's talk about Ember.
Ember, I mean, the only thing I didn't like about her was like her extremely extra temper, which they
Uh-huh.
talk about all the time in this movie.
Yeah.
It felt way too forced and like not believable that somebody would do like what she did, like just explode randomly. I mean, beyond the fact that she's literally fire,
Right.
just it didn't like the situations that she did that in is understandably annoying, but it's not so annoying that she would like flip flip out on somebody and
Yeah.
essentially like destroy everything. Like there's such small scenarios that I mean,
Yeah,
but
I
this
agree. She made a big deal out of a lot of really small things, which is which can be annoying. So, um, I also didn't like her blowing up like that. It just kind of like, okay, does all of the fire people have the ability to do that?
well, it
Because if
seemed
they
like it because
do,
the people were talking about, oh, I've never seen somebody go
so
full
we go full
purple.
purple.
Yeah.
But if they do, then why are fire people not running the world? Because I feel like that would be a pretty easy way to like, you know, run things. Be like, oh, do what I say, otherwise I'm just gonna explode and destroy everything.
Well, I mean,
Oh.
water could just completely
Yeah,
delete
but
that,
then at
but
the end, I mean, if it's true love and they touch, then it doesn't do anything. They can
right, but we're
just
not talking about love. You're talking about somebody threatening another person to explode when somebody could do the equally same thing with water, and it's gone.
I don't know. What did you think about that dynamic between all of the elements?
Um, it was it was neat, but there was honestly very few
Yeah, I was hoping
interactions,
for
which was kind of
more.
disappointing. It became like when you watch the trailer, you think this is going to be like some really large like factor in the entire movie, but it's not.
Yeah,
It's so focused on the like love aspect, which I think is
forbidden love. Yeah,
fine. It's but I was wanting like more world, I guess like exploration to see
yeah.
all the different life between
I
them.
just
You know?
wanted to see how does a society that's built based upon elements survive and prosper. You know, I mean, the city itself was gigantic and extremely extravagant and luxurious and everything. And I just want to know, like, okay, how did you like? How does that happen? Like, how do you guys get to that point? What are the symbiotic relationships between the elements that allow for things to happen like that? And they didn't really show anything um, they didn't really show anything, and even, like, in the trailer, there's a few snippets of, like, somebody getting water on them, like a tree person getting water on them, and then they, like, sprout stuff and, and
Yeah.
then, like
Only some of that was shown.
yeah, and there wasn't a lot of that. There wasn't a lot of just how do the elements interact and what are the effects of different elements interacting in different kinds of situations. I was
Yeah.
hoping that there was gonna be
Which
more of
I
that.
thinking about it now, I think it's intentional because they were so focused on trying to establish a emotional like feeling for this movie that
Mhm.
they only used it to establish like, oh, fire people are generally bad, water people
Yeah.
are good, and then we don't even touch like really the cloud and
Yeah, the
earth
Earth.
people. Like they just are kind of there. But that's all they really use it for, which is disappointing in that aspect. But and I don't really understand why, because I feel like the
Yeah.
movie would have been totally fine, like with it still. You know, like I don't think it would take
I think they
away enough.
could have meshed it well. Like, I
You know,
think they could have done a very, like, a movie that I could kind of relate it to a little bit is, Pocahontas. Like, Pocahontas is centered around a love story, right? But there's a lot of, like, the in especially in the beginning with the, Colors of the Wind song, like, she talks
yeah,
about how all the different things interact and whatnot, and there's just
right,
a lot of world interaction that goes on in conjunction with the love story, and it works. So I think it could have been done with this movie, and it probably would have made me enjoy it more, but they didn't, and it's kind of disappointing. So,
yeah.
do you think that there's room for a second movie here?
Elemental.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think the world is good enough of like a
Yeah.
presentation, and I feel like most of the characters in this are good enough that I would be okay with the second one. Hopefully, to be better, or like
Yeah. The way that it ended to me, I felt like it was very open door for a second one, which s- excuse
it's pretty
excuse
standard
me, jeez.
nowadays.
Um, Speaking of the ending, it's something that I did want to touch on because it was probably my favorite part of the movie, or just one of the parts of the movie that made me the most emotional was the final scene of her and her dad
Yeah,
doing
I agree.
the bow thing.
This for most
That was
people,
great.
you're gonna be playing the crying game the entire
Yeah,
movie. For me, it was literally the final bow that did it.
yeah. It
So
was that was really emotional, and it was like that's the emotion that I received from that particular scene was what I was hoping that I was gonna get throughout the movie, but I didn't really get it very much. Like I
yeah, I
didn't
mean,
get there.
it's only because they were so focused on like the love thing. But
Yeah.
I do love the like entire relationship development with Amber and her father. I thought they did
Oh,
that
it's
really
great.
well. It's just
Yeah, it's great.
I would have preferred that to be more of the focus, but
Sure.
it would like because it was the whole love thing. It was kind of
See,
just
this is why I was hoping that it wouldn't turn into a love story, because what I was hoping for was a story about a young woman like Ember that is facing these challenges of deciding what she wants to do with her life and the kind of person that she wants to become. And she feels this obligation to do what her family wants her to do because of the sacrifices that her family has made for her, which is a very common theme within a lot of ethnic groups, right? Um, and I really liked that aspect. And what I would have really liked was for Wade to have become this person, this like very good friend person that kind of just showed her that there's more to the world than just her focused microcosm. You know what I mean? And exposed her to the way things could be in different different situations, and then Ember has to figure out how to balance these new exciting things that she's experiencing with Wade, and then her family and whatnot, and then that way the love story doesn't just overbear all of the relationship and the emotional development that we see our main character Ember go through. Because you are right, the relationship with her father was really well done, and I really enjoyed it. And it's probably the best part about the movie, especially with the ending, the ending bow scene. And but at the same time, like when you get out of the theater, you reflect more on about Ember and Wade's love story than you do about the relationship of her and her father. So that's why I didn't want it to turn into a love story, but it did.
yeah. Basically, you wanted more Mulan, but instead we got this.
Yeah, I mean, Disney did screw us over with the Mulan remake, so
Well, I'm talking about you wanted like original Mulan, but
yeah,
we got this like side alternate dimension.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't want to say that like the Romeo and Juliet Forbidden Love is just overdone, but because it is. I mean, there's a lot of Forbidden Love movies out there, and like I said, this one did a good job of at least making it somewhat different to kind of separate itself. But I don't know. I was just the way over the course of the movie, I was way more interested in the relationship between Ember and her dad, and even Ember and her mom, and like her mom's like supernatural ability to sniff out love. Like it's kind of
Yeah,
barely touched on, and it doesn't really like. There's really no explanation of where that comes from or how like it's not like anybody else in the world that we know of has powers like that. Like she can literally sniff love or smell love.
yeah. I mean,
So
it's just one of those weird people that have this. I don't know.
yeah, but what I mean is like I like that intrigued me. Like I wanted to learn more. I wanted to know more about it, but we don't
Yeah,
get it
well,
because the love
you
story
can
is the
probably
focus.
stay tuned to some elemental shorts that will probably be made
Yeah, that's
in
true.
the future, which is one thing
Elemental
I did
shorts.
want to talk about too, because
Are
I
we
feel like
talking
this is
about the
kind of a
short?
big thing. Because
Okay,
Carl's
yes.
date,
All right.
bro,
Come on. Come on, Disney. Why are we doing that? Like, I was super upset, and honestly, now that I think about it, the fact that I had to watch that short before the movie might have, like, predisposed, like, 'cause I didn't like it. I don't know if you did, but I didn't like it at all. Like, I
Well, it makes
didn't like the
sense.
short. I didn't like the short at all, and then, like, I was already going into the movie with, like, a negative mindset because of the way that the short made me feel, and now that I think about, maybe that's, like, kind of my anger, a lot of my, anger and dislike towards the movie came from the short that Disney did about
Then you just
Ups.
went full purple.
Yeah, so, if you guys don't know, ladies and gentlemen, there's a new short that they came out with about, um, what's his name? Carl?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Carl from Up.
Carl. The old man from Up going on a date. And I just like I'm a firm believer in that everybody deserves to be happy, right? And unfortunately things happen in life and your significant other leaves this world for unfair reasons. So like, I'm a firm believer that you deserve to be happy. But at the same time, how you going to make the one of the greatest love stories of all time and then send Carl on this adventure where he was essentially committing suicide? Like, let's be honest, all right? Like, the story of Up is Carl attempting to commit suicide and then being saved by the young boy Russell. So we get all that from Up. And then you're gonna kind of like turn around and then be like, oh yeah, Carl's a free-minded man and just gonna like, I don't want to say betray Ellie, but just I just don't I didn't I don't get the I don't get, like, it's not, I don't think it's right. I don't like the Carl that I know from Up. I don't think he would do that. I don't think he literally flew his house across the world for his dead wife. And you're telling me that some chick is gonna call him up over the phone and ask him out, and he's gonna turn into a 10 year or a high school boy again, just overcome with love? Just didn't sit right with me. Didn't like
Yeah, I didn't feel like that, and it's kind of weird hearing that
it.
because the way you describe it is like seems pretty exaggerated for a lot of the things. But I mean, I guess well, I can understand somebody not wanting that just because if they already love Up, they don't want it to
Yeah.
be touched in that kind of sense. But for this to happen, it's just a short for one. Um, I don't think it's really that big of a deal. I thought it was actually kind of nice. I don't. I mean, if you really want me to go into why I think you're kind of wrong in a lot of ways, I could, but I don't think it's really necessary for this video. But I just thought it wasn't that. Like, I thought it was nice. It's just a real small thing. I really love the shorts they make for everything. It's just kind of extra, fan service kind of stuff. But
I generally enjoy the shorts usually, but I don't know, this one didn't, didn't sit well with me. I
yeah,
didn't,
so I
didn't like
guess
that. I didn't like it.
this leading into the movie, it seems like it just kind of rubbed you off the wrong way and set the entire thing up for failure. So it makes a lot of sense.
Now that we're talking about it, it probably did. That was probably the root cause of my disdain for the movie Elementals.
Because if
So,
you think about like how what the short was about and this movie, like
yeah,
it's a
both
pretty
both
it's
love
similar
stories,
enough.
yeah.
Yeah, like it makes sense that you just had a bad experience because of that. So
That's true. That is true.
maybe you can rewatch both of these another day, like a long time from now,
A
and you
long
might feel
time from
differently.
now. I don't know, man. The up one really, like, I'm more open to changing my thoughts about Elemental than I am changing my thoughts about the Carl short.
Well, guess you can just be a boomer on that one. So,
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Uh,
but yeah, I mean,
what was
this
what was your favorite part of the movie?
Well, the end was my favorite
Yeah,
part.
the bow scene was pretty awesome, but
Yeah. But other than
okay.
that, um, I think just the short period of like Wade and Ember like realizing both of their talents, and like the
Mm,
different scenes that they portrayed for
yeah,
that. Like I like that a lot. Just
yeah,
visually and stuff, looked really nice. Like whenever she was like walking on the different minerals and changing colors, and he
yeah.
does his
It,
wave and the rainbow and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I think my favorite part outside of the bow at the end of the movie was when they go down into the train station to look at the Vivisteria.
Yeah,
I really like that scene because at that point, like I'd already accepted that it was a love story. So now then my head was like, all right, well, at least make it a good love story. So that was one of those scenes that made it a good love made it as good of a love story as they could. But on top of that, it's one of the few times that we get to see elemental interaction being
right.
used to help each other out, right? Like Gale, the cloud from the beginning, creates this air bubble pocket for Ember to be able to go underwater in, and
Yeah,
it's
which was
cool.
really cool. I love the like whenever they finally get to the tree and starts all
Yeah.
the flowers start sprouting, so it's super cool looking. I was confused on why it was only until that moment that she could do that. You know,
What do you mean?
like why was it only when the place was flooded that she could go there? Because the only reason she didn't before was because somebody told her that she could not.
Yeah, so she went as a kid with her dad, and then they were essentially discriminating against fire people and wouldn't let fire in because they were afraid that it was gonna destroy the tree, which doesn't make any sense because Vivisterias are supposed to be able to survive in any climate, right, or anything. But um, yeah, I don't know. I guess it was maybe just a thing she had in her head that like, oh, I was denied this as a child, so I'm just never gonna go back. And then the
Yeah,
station
well, I mean,
flooded, so it
I
was
get that, but it's just why. I mean, because obviously it was Wade's idea. Why was it only then, like, for it to be flooded, that it became an opportunity of
I don't
uh,
know.
that experience?
Maybe like the general public thought that the Vivisteria was lost. Like maybe they thought it was destroyed for some reason. And so the maybe the just the general public's idea was that oh, there is no Vivisteria down there. You know what I mean?
So they're all
And so
idiots.
I mean, yes, because again,
Because nobody wanted to walk through that station and she'd be like, "Oh, hey,
yeah,
everything's totally fine."
yeah. It also doesn't make a whole lot of sense that like it being flooded is a big issue because water people should be able to go down there, right? But on top of that, like a lot of their roadways and like the train and stuff rides on water and like in water, so
Yeah,
it's kind of
which
like
doesn't make sense to me. And
yeah,
well, if it's gonna do that, why is there no like barriers on the side to
yeah,
contain the water?
yeah.
Because
They've
even when
just
you don't
created this
include the splashing thing, like even if you didn't care about that, if it functions with water, you must want to contain the water
contain it. Yeah, you just have an
to
endless supply of
control.
water. Yeah.
So yeah, but that's adding way too much thought into
It is. I mean, it's this dystopian society that just wastes water unnecessarily, but whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's all I got to say about the movie. I like I said, I think this is one of those movies that maybe a couple years from now, when I'm scrolling through Disney Plus and I just looking for something to entertain me for an hour and a half, I might be like, oh, you know what? Let's give it a chance. You know,
yeah. I
let's
don't
watch it
think it's
again.
as bad as you think it is at this current moment, but I understand with the whole
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
but yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this episode. We got more content coming to you guys later this week, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Uh, again, just want to shout you guys out for all the love and support. You guys have been super steady with views and stuff, and I think we're at 74 subscribers now, so that's
Sure.
awesome. Um, it's always exciting. Every time I see that number grow by one, it's like, oh wow, this is awesome. So thank you guys for that. We appreciate you. Let us know what you guys thought about this film. If you guys saw it already, let us know what your thoughts are, and whether or not you liked it, and whether or not you guys are willing to see if a sequel to it, because I think there's some room for it. I think we could see a story about Ember going out and experiencing like what it's like to live life on her own and stuff. So I think that could be a cool sequel. So thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. Check out our social media as well as the other shows here on the Anytime Media. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye, guys.